Hello everybody, the Lawn Gnome is here. Today we're going to be talking about one of my most anticipated films of 2019, and that of course is the conclusion to one of the biggest surprises, for me at least, in all of animation. That of course is the third installment in the How to Train Your Dragon series, How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World. So before we go into the movie itself, I just want to take you guys a little bit back in time. When the first installment of How to Train Your Dragon came out in 2010, I really had no interest and no expectations, but I had two friends of mine who really wanted me to come see this movie because they had known about the books, and they said that it was going to be a really good time, and let me just say, that film truly shattered my expectations. Not only was it a strong family film, it had a rich story, great character development, and also a very big level of maturity in terms of all the other themes throughout the film, which is something that we don't really see much in animation. And as the story continued on with How to Train Your Dragon 2, I got one of the most powerful animated films that I had ever seen. I mean, this movie could possibly surpass some of the greatest Pixar films that have ever been made. But this franchise turns out to be one of the strongest ones that DreamWorks has had to offer ever since they decided to make animated films. Alongside Shrek and Madagascar, this one really surpassed all my expectations. So of course I was really excited to see the epic conclusion of The Hidden World. So of course we are taken a year after the events of How to Train Your Dragon 2, and Hiccup and Toothless are still creating a grand human dragon utopia in the village of Berk. But there is still a villain out there who strongly believes in the old ways where the Vikings were the ruthless hunters and killers of the dragons, and knowing that Toothless is the last Night Fury, he will stop at nothing to try and take him down. But one of the other things that Toothless and Hiccup did not anticipate is the fact that there was, in fact, another Fury out there, and she is a white, gorgeous Light Fury, and Toothless has an eye for her. But also Hiccup wants to help the dragons because he had remembered from his father's tales that there is a hidden world where all the dragons can be safe, and Hiccup believes that the village of Berk should join the dragons so they can live united in peace. This movie was definitely a fantastic one. The story is great, the characters continue to expand. Once again, one of the things that really sets this franchise apart is the fact that they aged the characters. This time not so much, but you still see a couple of little nuances that show that the characters are still growing, still developing, and still aging. But there are a couple of things about this movie that are very different from the others, and one of the things that was probably the most powerful was the interactions between Toothless and the Light Fury, because of the fact that there is no dialogue besides a couple of squeals and grunts from the dragons, but with a powerful score from John Powell, which is probably his best installment of the music of the How to Train Your Dragon trilogy. There was just so much to watch and so much to be mesmerized by because you just loved watching these two dragons interact, trying to get to know each other, and eventually, hopefully, fall in love and carry on the species. It's also got some amazing animation all around. The action sequences are absolutely fantastic. The animation details on everything in this film is beautiful, and when you see the hidden world for the first time, it's a kaleidoscope of magic and wonderment. Once again, with the John Powell score driving it, it's just so beautiful. Although, I will still say, in terms of the plot points, the second one is probably the most strongest. Not because of the fact that the cast did anything bad. I mean, we still have the cast, including Cate Blanchett as Hiccup's mother. We also have the villain, who is played by the great F. Murray Abraham, and he is just absolutely fantastic. Kit Harington from Game of Thrones, of course, returns, and of course, the whole usual gang and including Jay Baruchel, America Ferrara, Jonah Hill. They're all back, and they all do a great job. But the plot itself doesn't seem to be as strong as the second one, because there was just something about the second one that was just something that really pushed the boundaries of DreamWorks animation to the limit, and there were so many things in that movie that I did not anticipate, and I guess that's because of the fact that receiving all of those unexpected events in 2, we really weren't going to expect anything more in 3. I wasn't really thinking that this movie was going to get a perfect score and basically be on par with How to Train Your Dragon 2. But then, the ending happens, and guys, you know how everybody says that one of the most emotional animated films in terms of an ending is the end of Toy Story 3? You know I've always said grown men cried in the theater when I saw it, but I actually didn't. The ending of How to Train Your Dragon 3 is probably one of the most happiest and most beautiful things that you will see. And yes, I actually did feel a tear come down my eye into the bottom of my chin, and I was like, oh my god, I am actually crying during this movie, because it's not just the ending, it's the epilogue. The epilogue is on par with the end of Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, the ending that all the fans wanted to see happen between Hiccup and Astrid. Everything you were expecting to think about, you actually see, and it is so emotional, it is beautiful, because you have been invested in these characters for so many years. It was just such an amazing thing to watch. And also, this whole trilogy took about a decade to finish, and you know, it's true, absence makes the heart grow fonder. The anticipation for these films has just been so high for all the fans because there was such a distance between all 3 of the films, which is why, like Toy Story, it is one of the greatest animated film series of all time. I adored this film. I was so glad that it was what it ended up being, and I cannot wait to see this movie again. I definitely want to get this movie on DVD. This is a day one buy for me. It is one of the best films that I have seen this year, but I still feel that How to Train Your Dragon 2 is a little bit better in certain ways, but there are ways where The Hidden World does surpass How to Train Your Dragon 2, which is why, in respect and in different ways, I am still going to be giving How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World a 4 stars out of 4, just because of how my overall feelings were coming into this movie and coming out of this movie, knowing that I truly was not disappointed. You gotta see this wonderful franchise come to an end. You will love it, especially if you have been a fan. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. Please leave your comments in the box below, and let's discuss How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World, and I will see you in the next one. Hey, thank you so much for stopping by my channel today. If you're new here and want to see more of what my channel has to offer, please click on the link to my last video, or hit that subscribe button to be kept up to date with all of my uploads. Content of all sorts is posted here quite often, so trust me, you do not want to fall behind. I will see you in the comments, and actions speak louder than words.